state of the residential market, despite the negative headlines, is still quite healthy. Employment and economic conditions are still positive. The regulators, which have imposed tighter lending conditions, have more impacted housing prices rather than softer demand. The weighted Australian median house price fell by about 5% over the past year, but performance varied across geographies and dwelling types. Sydney and Melbourne both fell in the last 12 months, Sydney by about 7%, Melbourne about 2%. However, prices remain about 50% higher in both those locations since 2012, whereas in Brisbane and Adelaide, house prices are still higher than they were a year ago. While the median house price has declined nationally, apartments have not declined by the same rate over the past 12 months. The resilience of the apartment market is being underpinned by the rise of the millennial generation. The millennial generation typically prefers urban living, who also like to live and play closer to places of work. In addition to the structural shift of younger generation, Australia's high immigration has seen strong demand for high-density development. Although Australian house prices have declined recently, Australia's high population growth will continue to fuel demand for housing, which will moderate any significant and sustained value declines over the short term. APRA and the Royal Commission has slowed the circulation of mortgage credit, which has also impacted on the housing construction levels, despite population growth remaining at a solid pace. Having peaked in 2016, housing starts have steadily slowed the last 2 years and are projected to slow even further over the next 2 years. Despite this, vacancy rates in both Sydney and Melbourne are both lower than they were in 2013. Subsequently, rents are now at record highs in both Sydney and Melbourne. Major banks, impacted by the tightened lending environment, has created an emerging opportunity for the non-bank sector to provide CRE debt to assist in Australia's housing shortage.